This is Saturday morning, the 30th of May, 2020. I'm up on the roof of the lot 314, and what you're looking at, I'm kind of making this video for the membership here at Sundance. Anybody that lives on the golf course who is plagued with broken windows or broken solar panels. About 2 years ago, within a 2-week period, I had the front big picture window front on the front of lot 316. That window was broken from the 5th tee box. It was a cold March or February morning with the wind coming cold out of the northeast, and some young man, I don't know how many balls he hit off the tee box that day on the 5th hole, but one of those balls bounced on 233rd drive and eventually took out the big $700-800 picture big window, bay window, the biggest window in the bay on the street side of lot 316. 2 weeks later, while walking my property line looking at the plants, I looked up and there was this huge softball size hole where you see that plate glass is. What that plate glass is, I went to Goodwill. I bought a cheap picture frame for about $1.50. As you can see, this panel looks different than the other panels adjacent to it. It got shattered. Its epidermal layer of epoxy or sealant got shattered, but the circuitry still works, and that's why I'm making this video. If this happens to someone, the panel is still working, it's still putting out, because my electric bills haven't changed much. So over the last 2 years, this is working. So I didn't have to go out at my expense and buy a $600 or $700 panel and have to pay to have it replaced. Okay? And my fellow members, you can get away with doing this. I went and got some RTV in a tube, some silicone RTV, and where it broke through the epidural or the sealed surface, where it broke through, it was about a 2-inch hole. And I just filled that hole up with RTV. Just filled it up, spooged it with RTV, filled it up. Then I took that 8x10 glass from a picture frame and pushed it down into place and sealed the edges. And so far, I haven't had to replace the panel. The panel still works. So I'm doing this as a little public information, an E&I, educational and informative. You don't have to replace the panel. If you take a shot like that, wait for your next bill. Well, go up and seal it. First thing to do is go get a piece of glass somewhere, either whatever will cover it, seal the glass around the edge, put it down in place. But I made a mess because of the reach. It was hard for me to get there. I was doing a real tightrope balancing act, try to work up there. But if you ever do this job, mask around the hole. Trace out where the glass is. Give yourself about a ½ inch border around where the glass is going to go and mask it all off with newspaper masking tape, because I didn't. And I've got residual sealant all around the place. But the panel's working. The my electric bills are normal, so I'm not going to worry about it. But just to let you know. Now, the reason I'm up here with my camera today is I'm going to continue with the discussion and the theme of why do I have to be the landing and recovery area for golf balls struck off these tee boxes. This happens day in and day out. And today I'm going to show you how people, well, I'm hoping not to see anybody cross my lot, and I'm hoping not to see anybody put a ball in my yard, but those kind of hopes evaporate pretty quick when you get the weekend crowd, because the weekend crowd is usually young, inexperienced golfers that go right back to the gold or the black tees, the championship tees, because they're young, they're strong, they're men. They've never shot par in their life. If you put them on the executive tees and gave them a free round, they wouldn't be able to shoot par. They'd be lucky to hit the green from the executive tees. But they're back there every day, young men, young Turks, and I have to put up with the carnage that takes place when they miss. Everybody misses a sweet spot. That's the nature of golf. Golf, really, if you play a round of golf, if you have 7 pure shots out of that round that you felt you hit correctly, you're lucky. All the rest were misses. And we have misses all day on this hole. And the thing of it is, you see those white stakes right there at the end of those bushes? That's playing area for the golf course. That's telling everybody on the tee that you can land the ball up to those plants right there and still be safe. You'll still be in bounds. Now, if you look right down there, that's the 6th hole, the signature 6th hole. Okay, we got the pin all the way back on the weekend, and that's death. I'll tell you right now, I've been watching, I've been here 15 years. When you put that pin back there on a busy day, you paralyze the golf course. Because, for one thing, any ball, that pin is the target. It's the target off the tee, it's the target from the bailout area. It's the target from all around the green is that pin in the back. Okay? If they overshoot the pin from the tee, they got a search party going back in that rough grass, that rough back there. If they land short or any way around the green, if they don't have a proficient second shot, if they don't have a second shot in their bag where they can nudge it up close to the pin, they're going to overshoot the pin, the ball's going to go into the back where all that rough is. And let me tell you, on the weekend, if you're selling 250 rounds of golf, you're going to have about 125 search parties. Posses, search parties back there in that rough behind that pin looking for the ball. It paralyzes the course. The whole field is paralyzed because of where that pin is. If you move the pin up just next to the bailout area, people take, and your amateur golfers on the weekend, you've got the worst scoring golfers. They're all on the big tee, they want to hit the long shot, but they have no clue how to score. They have no clue how to get the ball into the hole efficiently. They get up here, if they miss the green and they're around the green, they're shooting back for that pin, they scull one, it goes back in the back, and now it's a 15-minute search party back there looking for a ball, and nobody will putt or nobody will goal. They have this false sense of etiquette and protocol on the golf course. And then after a guy, he's lying 9, he's hit 3 off the tee box, he's back and forth across the green, he's lying 9, and now with the whole field waiting on the tee for him to putt out, the guy's lining up a putt like it's for the U.S. Open. And his rationale is, I didn't pay a greens fee to have to hurry up putting. I finally got back here, I'm finally lying here, and how many ever, but I'm not going to rush this putt because I paid my greens fee. I should be allowed to take my time making this putt. You're putting for a 10 on a par 3, all right? And you've got the whole field, there's like a dozen carts sitting back there waiting for you. All right, this goes on day in, day out. Now we have some young Turks on the tee, and this is what I put up with every day. Every morning during the week, this silver tee gets used 9 out of 10 shots. But on the weekend, nobody uses a silver tee because they're all young men. And they come in and they go, where's the men's tee? They go, there, it's the black and the gold. Good, we're going to play the men's tee. And that's the way it works out. Now, as you can see, you see my land here, my lot, those hedges. The ball has crossed those hedges, that hedge line, my property line, in the last 15 years about 3,000 or 4,000 times. Followed by golfers. followed by golfers. Now, if a golfer hits a ball anywhere along this property line, going all the way down there, if he sees it go in down by that cactus or adjacent to the green, he starts his search for the ball up here. He walks directly from the tee box up to the property line where you see that tree, and he walks down everybody's property line looking in everybody's yard for golf balls. Because he's been doing it for 15 years. He's been doing it for 15 years. He knows that people hit balls in these yards all the time. He knows this yard is sometimes could have maybe 10 or 15 balls in these yards along this walkway. So the guy walks down. I got a video of him assaulting me. I was out here with my camera and he didn't like it. He gave me a lot of shit. He assaulted me, stepped over the line. I was standing right there with my camera. When he was walking down the line, he started right down there, walking down the line, looking in my yard for a golf ball that he knows he hit down there. He saw it go in down there, but he started his search up here. This is going to happen all day. This is Saturday, the 30th of May, 2020. The purpose of this video is not to be Big Brother, but to familiarize the golf management, if they didn't know, what happens on the weekend when you have a busy schedule or a lot of players and you put the pin in the back where it is. You don't put it up front where it's an easy pin, where it's right next to the bailout area. You put it in the back. And then you put your tees back. So you're making everybody from the silvers on up is at least 160, 165 yard shot. For most silvers and most players here, that's not a lofted iron. For a lot of senior people, that's a driver or fairway wood. Okay? This hole was designed for a mortar shot. The original hole that was set up was at most 155 yards over the lake. That was the black tee over the lake when it first opened, 155 yard over the lake to the middle of the green. Okay, if you put the pin back, you add another 15, 20 yards to it. But today, what happened is, and I have a video camera up on the roof that will bear witness, but the reason I came out here with a camera, if I would have had it set up for a half an hour ago, you would have seen a performance. About 20 minutes ago, two groups went through. It was wide open in front of the first group. The first group, there was nothing ahead of them. So it was four young men, older men, had two or three carts. Well, they were hitting off I think, the gold. They hit off the gold, and when they got around the green, they had trouble getting the ball in the hole around the green. And like most people that come out here, they don't have a short game. They don't have a short game in their bag. Whenever they practice, they go to the range and they hit long clubs all day. They either hit long irons or drivers. They don't practice chipping, putting, and pitching. So, but when you put that pin back there, first of all, now you've got a guy back there. He doesn't have a lofted iron in his club. He can be the best golfer in the world, hit the straightest ball, but for him to get it there from 160 yards away or 170 or 155, he has to use a fairway wood or a driver. There's no loft. The ball goes right for the pin. He hit it right for the pin, but he doesn't have that Jack Nicklaus shot that Nicklaus hit at Pebble Beach that day in the wind. It doesn't hit the pin. It goes by the pin and right by the pin, just misses it, and now it goes in the back where all that rough is in the back. What you have just started as a search party. Now, to tell you what happened about a half an hour ago. This first group went through. They each hit a couple of balls off the tee. I think they did. I'll verify it when I look at the other video, because I've got a video going on the tees. But they finally get down to the green after, but they're struggling. 2 or 3 balls on the approach shots to that pin back there went in the back. And maybe 1 tee shot ran by and went in the back. Every time you put that pin in the back on the weekends, you start a search party. What happened was this group of young men, Caucasian, white, whatever, went through and they stunk up the place. Once the guy got over in the back and started looking for his ball and all that, what I want to call it, steel wool you got, grass steel wool, it started a search party. So the other 3 people are back there helping him find his ball. Well, when they saw a whole bunch of balls in the water, they ran back and got about a 20-foot one, and they spent 10 minutes fishing balls back there. And as soon as they got to the green, because they spent time on the tee getting off, this group of young black men showed up on the tee just as this group was hitting the green. And this group was totally ignorant, oblivious, aloof, whatever, never been taught pace of play, take care of the field, protect the field. When they saw all those balls back there, they went into a search party pulling balls. This group of black players back on the goal tee had to wait. They had to wait for about 10 minutes before they could hit, and being proper golfers, they didn't hit until the people cleared. And they thought they cleared, and one guy must have lost the club or something. He had to come back, so they had to wait again. Now, by the time they teed up and got to the green, the field had caught up to them. And now there's another group of golfers back there looking at these guys like they're holding everybody up. They're looking at this group, and I want to tell you, this group of black men, well-dressed, behaved, they took their shot off the goal tee. They all moved up and dropped at the drop area and played the hole and got out of the way. But while they were putting out, they were being more, they were trying to move and pace the play much better than the group ahead of them. The reason they were stuck there in front of the group behind them, 2 or 3 groups behind them, is because the group ahead of them spent 15 minutes putting out and fishing balls out of the back. That group, when it finally hit the 7th tee, probably had 5 or 6 holes ahead of them that were open. They backed up the field, and these people, I could see the golfers back there watching this young group putt out, and they're probably thinking, what the hell, man, they're holding up the field. No, they weren't holding up the field. They got stuck. This happens here all the time. Now I'm going to leave the camera here for all day so that you can watch the posses and the search parties that go on, and when the people that don't know how to play the short game knock it over that pin, right? If you got a guy down in the bailout area and he doesn't know how to chip and he drills one past the pin back there in that steel wool, you just started a 10-minute search party back there that's going to involve all 4 golfers. Some golfers refuse to give up a ball. They won't drop a ball. They look back and they see there's 3 groups behind them on the tee. It doesn't bother them. They'll still look for their ball. These people that held up the whole field this morning, they backed up the field 15 minutes. They had no idea what they were doing. They didn't have a clue. They had all their heads, their whole focus was getting as many balls out of that little harbor as they could with their wand. They had it didn't even pass their mind. That's how amateur this place is. That's how bucolic the golf is. This is how primitive it is. These people don't know. If all one of them had to do is turn around and recognize they got people been sitting on the tee for 10, 15 minutes for them while they're looking for balls and scouring that, and the guy doesn't want to play another ball, he doesn't want to drop another ball. He doesn't want to drop another ball. He wants to find that ball, and that ball's buried in the stuff. That's what I'm saying. For you to put that that pin back there on the weekends, to where tee shots run by it back into the rough, and people who aren't skilled at the short game, they're aiming at that pin. Where's the pin? Back there near that rough area, near that little harbor, where every time a ball goes back there, 4 people stop whatever they're doing to go back and look for this guy's ball. It goes on day after day. That's why the camera's here.